Congratulations on this book. I'll be honest, I've not read it fully, but I have read a lot of your earlier works. And we were together when we actually also cryptographically decoded the handwriting of Gumnami Baba and Netaji. Right. But that's another conversation. General Shide, how does this come into the picture? And what was the Chinese's locus standi in chronicling this?
Well,
and you say that multiple war historians have done this.
Yes. For the benefit of your viewers, let me give you very briefly the story, the way it has been given. So, on 22nd of August 1945, the Japanese government press release comes that Bose has died by a plane crash. He was going to Tokyo, and he was going in a plane in which there was also General Shide, and General Shide has also died. That's the story. Later on, as inquiry after inquiry happened, the Japanese eyewitnesses who appeared before these inquiries, they said that Shide was going to Manchuria. He was being posted to Manchuria to take charge of the Kwantung Army, which was fighting with the Soviet army at that time in Manchuria. And Netaji had arrived in Saigon, which is the Ho Chi Minh City now, on 17th August morning. And he was told that he would be given 2 seats to go in that plane in which they was going, so that he can go to Tokyo. The plane would drop him in Tokyo and then proceed towards Manchuria. But things came out that while flying, Netaji had a chat with Shide, and they decided that first they will go to Manchuria. Netaji will get down at Manchuria, Shide will guide him, and flight will go back to Tokyo. So, this whole elaborate complex story was created, and that is the basis on which that entire Indian official stand is based. Now, what we discover is how we discovered it, and all Anuj will give you the details, is it appears from Chinese quasi-historic government historians, military historians, the PLA publishers. These historians are saying that General Shide died differently. He was flying on a different date on a different plane, and his plane was brought down by the Chinese Air Force.
So he was on a different plane with another general
on a different day.
Different circumstances altogether. See, I remember Justice Mukherjee. We spoke to him, and the idea was that before Justice Mukherjee came in the picture, the way we approached this entire issue of Subhash Bose's death, it was on the lines that there was a plane crash in Taipei, Taiwan. Subhash Bose died in it. Justice Mukherjee elaborated, no, this is not just story of Subhash Bose's death in a plane crash. It's essentially a story of his getting injured in a plane crash, and then he was taken to a hospital, and then he was cremated, and then his ashes were sent to Japan. Now, what we can add to it is not just about, as Chandraju said, not the issue of just Subhash Bose's death. Netaji was actually traveling in a plane which was actually carrying General Shide. Shide was a main man. So there was a plane crash involving Shide and Subhash Bose. They were injured or probably died, and they were cremated in Taiwan, and their remains were sent to Japan.
Right.
So now, that means, in other words, the story of Netaji's death is also the story of Shide's death, vice versa.
Correct.
So that is a Japanese version. Now, this Japanese version of Subhash and Shide's death was upheld by the government of India, lastly in 2006, because they had a cabinet decision taken on this issue, which has become the government stand, which now the Modi government says we are willing to look into it again in case a new input comes. So this is one input. So the Manmohan Singh government believes, and so did the Japanese, that there was a plane crash in which Subhash Bose and Shide died in the Taiwan military airport.
Right.
Now the story is coming from the Chinese, who have no stake in this game.
Correct.
Now it came to us rather accidentally, a student by the name of Siddharth Rathi. So this young boy, he follows us, and he was just looking around, and he just happened to stumble upon some Chinese military website. Okay. And he called us up, sir, look, this is happening, this is a different story is coming up in the Chinese side. Then we searched, we dug deeper, and we reached our people in China, in Taiwan, and Australia. So we obtained what are the reasons why the Chinese are saying so. So we came to know there are multiple books written since 1990s. Lastly, this one which we have quoted.
Since 1990s, and this book was written when?
In 2009.
2009.
Yeah. So since
1990, more than 15 years ago, this book is out.
This book has been out.
Yeah.
So they are giving a lot of details, and they're talking about how Shide died. So according to the Chinese version, Shide was never with Subhash Chandra Bose. Shide arrived in Taipei much before Subhash Bose did. He was received by another Japanese general. Both took off from the same, the Taiwan airport. When the plane took off, it was intercepted by the Americans, and the Chinese Air Force, their fighters went after it, and they asked them to get down. They refused, so they were shot. So according to the Chinese version, this plane went down in the sea. So Japanese version, Subhash Chandra Bose and Shidei both died in Taiwan airport, Taipei
Right.
airport. According to Chinese, Shidei and another general, and there's no Subhash Bose in it, their plane went in the sea. So these are two different stories altogether.
So East China Sea is where General Shidei's plane goes down.
Went
That's what
down.
the Chinese historians have written.
Yes. Right.
But have the Chinese historians ever mentioned Subhash Bose?
no mention of Subhash Bose anywhere.
There's no mention of
There
Subhash
is no
Bose.
mention because there is, I mean, that also deepens the suspicion that if there is, they will ignore Subhash Bose's name deliberately does not make sense. So they will, if they are not mentioning Bose's name, that means Bose was not there.
Bose was not there, or the Chinese never had a direct
We have no reason
face-off
to-
engagement
we
with the
have-
Japanese and Subhash Bose together.
And the Chinese story, the full story makes more sense because the Chinese says Shidei's dilemma, which was described in interrogation by the pilot, is that the Japanese emperor had announced surrender on 15th of August. But Shidei had with him in written the order to go to Manchuria. So, but he had not received the surrender document in writing. So he was in a dilemma what to do. But then they decide that we will go because we have not received instruction from the military headquarters. We will go anyway.
The other point is that is there any picture in Saigon? Now, this is a picture they say is dated the 17th of August with Netaji on the plane. That this is the picture that is there.
Yes.
Now, is there a picture of General Shidei and
No picture that we know. No
in
picture
Saigon?
was taken.
No.
Neither in Saigon
And
nor
not
in
there.
that is so bad. That is so laughable thing. Netaji arrives in Saigon in morning and somebody is there to take a picture. Netaji is leaving with General Shidei and his whole team is there and
there's
nobody
no
takes a picture.
There's no picture. So
No
how
picture.
can there be no picture? The other thing is in your book, you've also chronicled the varying statements of the eyewitnesses.
It is. Right.
As the plane crash happens in Formosa,
Yeah.
in Taiwan, there are some survivors. And those survivors, you have said, have varying accounts of what happened with General Shidei. I'm not
Right.
even coming to Netaji.
Right. Right.
What is the
See,
difference?
the whole focus all these days, all this time was on Netaji. We were focusing on Netaji, what the witnesses have said and all. But whenever we looked at Shidei, even that case was a suspect. Suspect why? Because of the 5 or 6 survivors, 2 or 3 of them spoke about Shidei. Now, 2 of them, I believe, were traveling in the plane. They claimed they were traveling in the same plane. So, 2 of them, one of them said that Shidei died an instant death because of the accident. The other person said that he later saw at Shidei, his body was all charred and he died on his seat. He did not get a chance to escape. Now, there is a third person. One of these persons also said that one said he died instantly, another said that his body was brought to the hospital where Netaji was treated.
Okay.
But he did not know what happened to him after that. So, one person sees Shidei die instantly. The second person sees Shidei's body being brought to the hospital. There is a third person who was in charge of the airport security of the Taiwanese army. He said that when I went to the site and looked into the aircraft, I saw Shidei sitting there, his whole body charred. We took out his entrails and we buried the entrails in the airport.
No, but if they buried the entrails, how did Shidei's ashes
That is the
reach
biggest
Japan?
question. So, if Shidei's entrails were buried, how did they get the ashes?
Did
number
any
one?
of them talk about Netaji?
Yes, they did. And they contradicted themselves at different points of time. When they spoke, one person spoke in 50, 56, 60 or 70. Constantly he contradicted himself. And moreover, each of them contradicted each other.
Each of them
I mean, for example,
contradicted.
the gentleman who said, I saw Shidei and Subhash was brought to the hospital, I was also there. The doctor said, no, Shidei was not brought here.
So, doctor said Shidei was not
brought there.
The other thing is the death certificate issued by the Japanese.
There was no death certificate. It was citation
It
for
was a
an
citation.
honor.
Okay.
A
Citation
medal was
and-
given to
in
him.
1947, not even, contemporary.
And that
There is
citation.
no proof that Shidei and Subhash Bose arrived in Taiwan together because nobody received them. There is no proof of Shidei being taken to the hospital. Only some statements which are not believable. There is no proof of the cremation. There is no proof of because there is no death certificates. There are all, first of all, people try to confuse by saying, these records must have been destroyed. Now, this is an Indian invention. Japanese have never ever said that we destroyed records. Records